All right, are y'all gonna do it again today? Are you gonna behave? Or can you wait like 30 seconds? Can you wait 30 seconds? I won't? Ugh, all right, get it done with then. Hold. Not even hold.
Making the mother of all omelets here, Jack. Cast bread over every egg.
Sugar. All right, all right. Welcome in chat. Welcome to Thursday, the last stream day of the week. How are you doing? What trouble did you get into? I am fucking exhausted. Behave. We, not possible. We. Yeah, you're about right on that point. You're about right on that point. Want to see a thing? I always want to see a thing. I like seeing things. I like knowing things. I like knowing all the things. I got me some munchies. Ooh, I had a sandwich already this morning. I had to get up at fucking 7 o'clock this morning to go to a doctor's appointment that was at 9. That took literally less than 10 minutes. I said doctor's appointment. It was the re-blood test again. I went Tuesday. We did 2 blood tests there. Cost $256 fucking dollars. Today, I had to go back because one of the blood tests was really high, and they think it was because I had like just taken my meds fairly recently, as opposed to it being like middle of the week. And the other one, today was $30, which means like the blood tests are probably $30 each, which means $190 for me to go into a doctor's office on Tuesday and just be like, yeah, all of the questions you previously asked me are exactly the same as they were before. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. Secret thing has been sent. Okay, secret thing, secret thing. I like secret things. Good grief, she's naked. Nice. Nice. Okay. Not the strip. No, naked. Naked. All right, chat. Today was originally supposed to be more continuation of Resident Evil 9, but I have so much health anxiety this past week. There's one thing I haven't talked about this week, and I'm not going to talk about it because it's gross. But I've had anxiety over that, but it's finally getting better. Breasting boobily about the place? How dare you? I breast less boobily than most VTubers. Okay, I may have size. I have size, sure. But they don't move nearly as much as most VTubers. Is it the thing? Maybe. I don't remember which particular thing it was. But yes, I'm probably fine. It's getting better. It's getting better. So I'm not worried about that too much anymore. The thing is, I think the reason it happened is because I ate like 2 jars of pickles. I ate like 2 jars of pickles in the course of like a week. Probably less than a week, like 5 days, maybe 6 days. 2 whole jars. And the second one I ate in a single day. And I think what it did is it like dehydrated me to the point where my fucking colon shriveled up. It like dried me the fuck out. And it caused bathroom troubles. Thank you for the censor. The censor was absolutely necessary for the statement. Yeah, and it was those like Vlasic pickle jars. So I think I just made myself ill. I think I gave myself minor internal hemorrhoids. It's fine. It's fine though. It's fine. So many microplastics and pickles. Whole pickle or spears? Whole pickles. Good job, Mevin. Mary becomes uncontrollable around pickles. I mean, they were so good, but they also like don't fill you up. So every time I'd eat one, I'd be like, well, that was really good. And it had a nice texture. Maybe I'll have another. So I'm just not going to be buying pickles for a while. Were they snacking or dill? They were dill pickles. They were like, they were roughly like, they were like as long as your hand, like from the bottom of your hand to like the tip of like your pointer finger would be about how long these pickles were. They weren't the giant fat ones, just so you don't get the wrong picture of that. It wasn't one of those. A long story short, that's why I'm fat. Wait, what? Don't let Mary near Devil Joe. I need more Devil Joe in games. Wait, isn't the new Monster Hunter Trials? No, it's not Trials. Monster Hunter Story. That's it. Monster Hunter Story 3 is coming out, I think, like this week? This week or next week? I don't know which. I played the demo and it's pretty fun. Marin's pickling her insides? Yeah. I basically was, and it fucked me up. So that was one of the things I've been worrying about, and I'm not even joking. Since last week, it's been concerning since last week. No Devil Joe for you? I want more Devil Joe. Dill Marigold? Okay, that was an attempt. Is it this? It's the thing you said about going back for another. It's originally from a guy talking about cereal. You finish the cereal, but you get a little milk left. So you go back and you have some cereal left and you go back again. Yep. That's like, I don't buy cereal. I haven't bought cereal in... Last time I bought cereal, I was still living in New England. So it's been over 2 years. Maybe 3. The thing is, though, is I would get cereal, and I have the habit of like 1 bowl of cereal is not really enough. 2 bowls of cereal is like half a fucking box of cereal, though. You're not supposed to say your age in here. And I don't think we could even shoot a highlighted message. God damn it, random Mexican. Okay, no, you can't delete it. Excellent. I haven't bought cereal in almost a decade. You can say it's your birthday. We just don't say your exact age number. It's poor practice on the internet. Ren, we talked about this yesterday. Stop being pedantic. You fucking smartass. Actually, hold on. I can do this better. Guys, what if we actually just said our age in seconds or months? Or maybe rounds around the sun? What if I called it levels? Same fucking thing, Ren. Same fucking thing. If only Marin had update. I'm going to strangle you, Sunstar. Happy highly specific number day. Yeah, happy advancement day. When the bear goes round, is that a rat pretending to eat cheese? Why don't you level my entire dick and balls? God damn it. Okay. You know what that reminds me of, Beef? Who remembers the show? My Gym Partner's the Monkey? Who remembers the TV show My Gym Partner's the Monkey? Does anybody remember how they used to censor like swearing in that show? Where it would basically just be like as many zoo animals as you could slam in as a censor. So you like the censors would be like lion roaring, elephant trumpet, deer like antelope call. It's just like a bunch of animal like screams all at once. I think of that censor all the time and I can't find it. I wish I had it. I don't. What are we talking about? That's just the censor that was from that show, and that's the way I read. Who was the one who just said it? The I'm zoo noise is years old. That Beef said. No. It wasn't one animal. It was all those animals at once. It basically sounds like an entire zoo screaming into a microphone. That's basically the gist of it. Mm. Which is why the zoo part of it is what made me think of it. Zoo noises. Yeah, exactly. Here, let me actually see if I can find it. If I can. The thing is, I don't think I'm going to be able to because My Gym Partner's a Monkey was not a very popular show after it ended. Uh-huh. Okay. My Gym Partner's a Monkey. Monkey. Swear. Or censor? Censor? No, that's the intro. I guess stalking class. Oh, good Lord. No, I can't find it. I'd have to go watch like a whole episode and see if I can just find when it like happens at some point. Enjoy your lurk, Boozer. Thank you for hanging out. Hi, Sin. Since it goes before my time, My Gym Partner's the Monkey came out at the same time, I believe, as Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, which means it was like that 2004? And Ben 10? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it came out at the same time as Ben 10. It was supposed to be like a new era of Cartoon Network, so there was just this large sweep of new shows. Sleeping class for hibernating animals? Yep. Chalk Zone? Fuck yeah, I remember the Chalk Zone. Who's got the chalk? Rudy's got the chalk zone. Rudy's got the chalk. Anyway. Listen, I loved cartoons, okay? And I'm really good at remembering a lot of things. Unless it's like now, my memory's kind of shot now, which is weird, but it's really good for my childhood. Chalkstone was on Nickelodeon, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure Chalkstone was on Nickelodeon. Listen, I do remember Generator Rex. Rex also takes place in the same universe as Ben 10. Just in case you didn't know that. It does take place in the same universe as Ben 10. And I think Secret Saturdays also took place in the same universe. Remembers the show Wayside? It sounds familiar. Wayside was earlier than that, if I remember right, though. Oh, wait, no, this is not the one I remember. Although, weirdly enough, I do remember the orange-haired boy. But I don't remember the show at all. Like, not even a little bit. It definitely looks like a, I don't know what else to call it. Mucha Lucha, fuck yeah, dude. Do you hear Mucha Lucha's on... Wait, what? I forget. Is it Tubi? Was it Tubi that just bought the rights to like all of the old Cartoon Network shows? Mucha Lucha! Mucha Lucha. Oh yeah, Courage the Cowardly Dog and Billy and Mandy were fucking fantastic. I do remember Fred Burger, yes. Why won't you love me, Dad? I'll be whatever you want. I want you to be dead. God damn it, Pippin. Pippin, I know you missed the time of when there were people that would pop in and the very first thing that they always do is fucking drop a workout. It doesn't make you a very favorable person. It makes you an army sergeant, and nobody likes their army sergeants. Buenos dias. Jeff the Spider was a good boy. Was a very good boy. Think of it self-care. I wish the Secret Saturdays got like more attention than it did. Generator Rex and Secret Saturdays deserved way more attention than they got. And if nobody knows Secret Saturdays, search it right now. right now and go look at the mom. Go look at the mom of the Secret Saturdays. You'll know who I'm talking about as soon as you do it. And if you've never seen him, I want you to come back and tell me that you now Googled it. It's worth the times where you get redeemed on cooldown and everybody hated it. Well, yeah, but you can at least say something in chat before just being like, all right, work out, slut. Go do your thing. Go do your thing.
What's your pleasure? What's your fear?
No, give me $20 when you gas with the Humvee. Yeah. I thought you were bad. Oh, Jesus. Check out 34, the Rule 34 Secret Saturdays. No. No, you're a monster. You're a monster, Beef. You can't go doing that. Also, is anybody good? Who remembers the end of Generator Rex? You know, when Rex ascends to godhood. Anybody see that? The end of Generator Rex, where he just ascends to godhood and like remakes the world. I don't remember the beginning. Was Billy and Mandy the spinoff or Grim and Evil? Okay, those are the same series. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy and Grim and Evil are the same series. The early series of Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy was Grim and Evil, where you would get half of it was going to be a like short cartoon of Grim, Billy, and Mandy. The other half of the 30-minute slot was going to be Evil, which in this case was Evil Con Carne. And I don't remember the rest of the team's name. There was like the general guy, there was the mad scientist lady, there was the brain in the bear, and the talking stomach in the bear. It wasn't the spinoff. They were both part of the original series. It was Grim and Evil as the original one, and then they realized how much more popular Billy and Mandy was, and so then it became the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Yeah, okay. So if anybody doesn't remember, yeah, General Scar, Major Dr. Ghastly. The I think Evil Con Carne was just the name as a whole, but the brain could talk from the top of the bear's head. The bear was stupid but alive and like unaffected by the controls of the brain. And the stomach was in like a little port in the bear's stomach. And it could talk. It could talk in the same way that the brain did. Yeah, I think the bear's name was Boris. Because of course it was. It's a bear. Dracula don't suck. He scrape and lick. Scrape and lick. Oh, 100%. I mean, Billy and Mandy shockingly taught a lot of lessons. Although to this day, here, I know what we need. I know what we need. This is my first introduction to a certain artist. Let's do. All right, chance. Sharing arts? No. You know this. You know this. Just listen. Sadly, it's not going to be in the VOD. About on to the other side. Out of the sky. Bum, bum. All right, I'm gonna do the 20 squats while we listen to this for a minute. All right. Whew. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bring me some brains. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right. This was the first Voltaire song I ever heard. Y'all are so cute. Hi, Juzo. How are you doing? And used his brain since watching no TV. And a new indie cartoon plays of what? That's crazy. He hasn't had a thought since 43. His brains is the portrait of atrophy. He ain't using it, why not give it to me? I won't lie. I'll eat the brains till they're zombified. No, I haven't heard. Brains, it's okay. Mine is when you're, listen, I know when you're evil, but I think I heard it. Weirdly enough, I think I heard when you're evil in a like RuneScape music video, if anybody remembers those. Hi, Sugar. Okay, I do know the night animation. That wasn't the first time I was introduced to Voltaire, though. Apparently, they're making an animated series. Apparently, too, Voltaire got very popular off of that girl's The Night animation, to the point where she also graduated off of that animation. She was a college student when she made it. Brains, I won't lie. I'm still on the Gen Rex fact because I didn't know that. The fact that he ascended to godhood at the end of the series, yeah. He took the one nanite that like controls all other nanites and like put it into his body and then just remade the world. Yeah, there's a lot of fucky shit going on between Generator Rex, Ben 10, and such. I think this is also actually, the song is 5 minutes long, but I don't think the song was 5 minutes in the cartoon. Actually, maybe they did. Maybe they did play all 5 minutes of the song. While she's working in her trailer, listen, I love Voltaire songs. There was a crossover between Generator X and Ben 10. It says big Beetlejuice energy. Oh, I agree. In town with all these brains, I can't help but think if there isn't one left that's there to drink. Actually, I'm curious, does anybody remember Adventure Quest Worlds? All right, we're bringing this down again. All right, anybody? Oh my god. Oh, I did not know that. All right, who remembers Adventure Quest Worlds? That was probably the next time I heard, what was it? I heard Voltaire's songs, which I'm not gonna be able to find it because God knows I don't remember what the song even sounds like. But very early on, after the release of Adventure Quest Worlds, they had like a pirate event of some kind, and he did the soundtrack for the whole event. So when you were playing, you had Voltaire singing in your ear. To write a theme for Baron? Listen, that would be fucking sick. I don't think you can commission Voltaire, though. And who knows how expensive it is. But... all right, chats. We mentioned the night animation. Do y'all want to see that? It's a very good animation. Isn't that game coming back? Adventure Quest World? Ooh, I don't know. But yeah, the night animation was made 9 years ago, has 60 million views by Daria Cohen, who, if I remember correctly, her like whole shtick is kind of based off of that. Big announcement, biggest announcement I've ever made, animated pilots. For Vampire is what it's called. But most of the animation stuff that she's done are not Voltaire songs, I'm pretty sure. Where is... she did an animation project at one point that was... oh, where was it? I forget what they're called. It's basically where you get a whole bunch of animators together to do like little sections of the video. They do it in their own way. Hi, Free. How are you doing? How long ago was this? It's not the showdown. I think you're right. I think that's what it was called. But I can't find it in her videos because she does so many speed paints too. But is it When You're Evil? Is it actually the When You're Evil one? It might be. Let me see. No, I didn't watch Max Steel. I know the name. He was basically Generator Rex, but if he was okay, it is this. It is the When You're Evil one. Okay, so we can stick with the Voltaire idea if we want to see this. Thing is though, is I'm not going to be able to put the audio into the VOD. So we'll have to do it this way. Just yet another reason for the VOD watchers to try to find a chance to come to the stream. All right, chat. Oh, wait, let me turn up the resolution a little bit because it looks kind of... That's probably fine. Turn it up a little bit. So they kept rebooting it to trash? I was going to say, wasn't there like 2 different series? So this is Duke. He's the vampire. Oh, special touch. Come view this cool shit live. It's all the same. This is Nanite, but alien? I thought it was like mech suit, wasn't it? Easy when you're evil. Yes, multi-animation project map. Sorry, I missed that earlier. I have no idea who that character is supposed to be. What's funny too is I recognize a lot of these animators. I think some of them I actually recognized from the old JonTron firework music video. Ooh. Damn. It's true. It's also true that the various styles change so much. There's one in here I do remember. And y'all better lock in if you see a swimming pool. If you see a swimming pool, lock in at the animation quality. All things dark and dire. Listen, you'll know what I'm talking about as soon as we see the pool, okay? It'll be totally fine. It'll be totally fine. So I'm kind of waiting for one particular animator that I remember. Oh, I think it was this one. That's not the pool one I was talking about. Hi, Ghana. 'Cause I'm evil. All right, how many people in chat saw it? How many people in chat saw it? Yeah, did you notice it? Did you notice it? We'll go back to it after we finish the song. We saw it respectfully? Okay, then I won't need to go back because it was... there was some work that went into there. Paper and their needs. And it's pictures of every animation style. All right, do y'all want to see the original animation that she made? When this character showed up for the first time, as well as the female vampire that we saw earlier. Do y'all want to see that? Is that a thing you wish to see? All right. Welcome to the night. And one of the most iconic music videos ever made. And Voltaire's own pain in his ass. Because it made The Night his most popular song, and everybody asks him to play it at concerts now. He's not all that mad about it, but it's like one of those things that he always makes a joke about. Bum ba dum bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. I used to play this song all the time when I first started streaming. My eyes should be closed. Oh my god, I forgot about the side dance. Calls me. She calls me. Time to get very popular. One thing for endless requests of it. What the fuck do you mean? I don't sing. I'm not a musician of any kind. Funky way to come into stream. Too bad you're getting the nights. Because I'm introducing you to internet culture, if you will. Proper internet history. Don't you dare talk about my playlist. Don't you dare talk about my playlist that I have not been using. She calls me, waves in her velvet dress, me towards her in the dark. I knew of this sweet banger. Hey, you know the song, but have you seen the animation? Uh-oh, failed emotes. Failed emotes spotted. This is The Night by Daria Cohen, an animation project she did in college. It has over 60 million views. We were talking about Voltaire earlier, and so I wanted to bring up this because it's probably the most famous thing involving Voltaire. Strange to me. The thing, too, is her animation has already improved since this. Granted, this is 9 years old, so she's got 9 years of experience. She calls me. That's totally not suspicious. Yeah, we played Brains just a couple minutes ago. The fucking camera look. That'll be fine. Sexy Data Tango next. I don't know that song. SS make shit up yet? No, we're gonna do a couple songs. But yeah, that's The Night. It's one of probably my favorite animation projects I've seen on YouTube. Probably right after, no, I think this is better. I was gonna say, like, weirdly enough, the JonTron firework music video is shockingly good. Shockingly good. But do we want to turn on Voltaire songs for the rest of the day? Is that what we want? Let me go to Voltaire. Number 1 most popular. Although that doesn't even have the most views. Weird. Huh. The Night, followed by When You're Evil, then Zombie Prostitute, then Almost Human, and then Land of the Dead. All the Voltaire? All right, we'll put it on shuffle. Docking Bay 94. All right, turning it down. All right, kids. It's a Star Trek TNG one by him? TNG. Oh, The Next Generation. I've never heard of Voltaire. Voltaire is a kind of, best way to describe him to me is like gothic ballad musician. A lot of his stuff is like haunting, evil, menacing in some way. At least his most popular songs are. Plays a priest in Velocipastor. He's in Velocipastor. Maybe I do need to see Velocipastor. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Is with Dat and Tasha Yar? Huh. Tumblr's regular weekend soundtrack? Do people still listen to Voltaire on Tumblr? I mean, it's the average VTM soundtrack. Movie night in the Discord. The thing is, I was considering tomorrow doing the drinking game where we sit down and review Ghost Hunters and have to drink based on certain things. Because I bought a 6-pack today. I bought a 6-pack of pineapple cider that I thought would be delicious. Yeah, I was considering doing that tomorrow night. I had time this morning because, again, like my doctor's appointment took fucking less than 10 minutes. So I went to the grocery store and I was like, I'm going to get a sandwich. I'll eat that on the way home. And I'll get like, I was walking around. I wasn't originally going to get it, but I was like, if I get a 6-pack now, I just got paid today. So I can get like a 6-pack and we can use it for the like the Ghost Hunter drinking game nights. Singing practice in the Discord, the wheel suggestion one is for on streams. Oh, I was going to record it. I was 100% going to record it. Wait, singing practice in the Discord? I don't think there was singing practice on any of the wheels, was there? Was there? I don't think there was. Self-care Bob, please chat, remember to hydrate, eat, unshrimp, stretch, take your medication. I'm on it. I'm on it. Okay. Also, wait a second. How close are we to the next game suggestion wheel spin? Lastly checked, I think we were at, I put Jofi and not Kofi. Okay, we're still at 66%. I couldn't remember if somebody donated yesterday or something. So 66%, 2/3 of 500 is math. I don't want to do math. 366 roughly. Is that right? 365 probably. We're probably at 365. Marin, this user's been banned. Wait, what's the deal? About putting it on the wheel? Oh, we're not putting that on the wheel. We're not putting that on the wheel. Ain't no way in hell. Ain't no way in hell. Oh, no, wait, it would be 6. It would be 6. Because Dandelion, one of the people who is inviting me to a Pathfinder game, we're going to be streaming a Pathfinder game sometime in the future where we play as our VTubers who got isekai'd. I think it's going to be fun. I think it'll be dandy. But man, majority vote, this is not a democracy. Tell us more about the Pathfinder. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what class I'm going to play, but it's looking like I'm going to be playing Exemplar. It's looking like I'm going to be playing Exemplar. It's either going to be Exemplar, but I'm also considering Magus. Magus? The thing is, I've never played Pathfinder 2, at least. I played like one very short campaign in college, and I don't remember shit. I don't remember shit. Mayor doesn't support voting in the Dark Carnival. Twit longer, open and ready. What does being anti-democratic have to do with the twit longer? Okay, wait, don't take that out of context. Wait, don't take that out of context. Is it space standing? No, I think it's going to be somewhat medieval. Somebody mentioned that it was going to be like a Magitech world. Like the world's going to be generally Magitech. So the only ones I know so far is Mir, who's playing a, more than likely an Exemplar or a Magus. Probably an Exemplar at this point. And Dandelion, who I believe is playing a Investigator, which is a class to Pathfinder that I don't know exactly what it does. And there's at least two others. There's at least two others, but I don't know what they're going to be just yet. I'm sure one of them is going to be a caster, and I don't have to worry about, like, Magus. Exemplar is basically, it seems to be at least a character who has, like, a fragment of a god in them. And you get like a whole bunch of blessed godly items that you can invest your power into. You start with 3. You get 3. I think later, if you use certain feats, you can get more. But it is very cool. It's a very cool system. Make it a donation goal like the Surstroming. You know, chat won't hit it anyways that way. $1,000 and I will do a karaoke stream. $1,000. In one go, and I will do a karaoke stream. That's it. That's all I would do it for. Unless it was like a ludicrous like goal, like a what are they called? Stretch goals for like some event in the future. Sure. I'll say it's a forever goal. I'll say it's a forever goal. Because if somebody dropped $1,000 on my lap, I guess I could do it. The thing is, though, even if I'm singing, I can't sing for very long. So we'd probably only make it through like 8 songs, 10 songs, maybe. I want to try Surstroming. You are a mad lad. Is that... Oh, Marin go idle. I was reading the I as an L and I was like, wait, what? You caught the wallet at a bad time? I'm sure I did. I'm sure I did. No, that makes sense. Makes sense to me. What song is this? Hold on a second. Oh, the USS Make Shit Up. Who mentioned this earlier? Bitrektual is the name of this album? That's crazy, dude. But that's a Twi'lek on the cover. Why is there a Twi'lek on the cover? And why is Voltaire an L? Oh, his ears are actually pointed. Oh. I didn't realize Voltaire actually had pointed ears. Yeah, there's a Twi'lek on the cover. We'll just make some shit up. That's cute. That's cute. He's that kind of guy. That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, I've had durian too. I've had a I've had a lot of like quote unquote gross foods, but stir streaming I think is one that I would need to be paid for. I would need something out of it because it has to be imported first of all, and then it's potentially gonna linger if I like crack it open indoors. Wait, are my bi levels that low? When do I get my pointy ears? I'm pretty sure he had a surgery for it. All right, kids. Do we want to go play Crime Scene Cleaner? Let me get the game open because I'm pretty sure we started the stream in the category. What are we talking about? Bi levels? Oh, because the name of this album was Bitrexual. It was bitrexual, which is very funny. What? Puerto Ricans? I have one pointy ears. Hi, chat. Welcome to Crime Scene Cleaner. Oh, it's very much a Star Trek joke. It's very much a Star Trek joke. I love pointy ears, but I won't pay for it. Yeah. Hell yeah, classic Baron. Yeah, Vapor. We were originally going to be playing more Resident Evil 9. But my anxiety of the week cannot take any more of, especially where we are right now with Grace. Because I am terrified of that fucking basement and of the girl lurking around everywhere. She terrifies me, and everything down there is very, very dark. Even though I have so much fun playing the Leon moments, like, playing Leon is a fucking blast. But the Grace moments are horrifying. Horrifying. Original version of that album had a Federation crewman making out with either Voltaire as either a Jedi or a clone trooper. Well, he's definitely looks like he's supposed to be a Jedi in this cover. All right, into my corner. Hi, chat. Welcome to the corner. Now, I think the last time we played this, okay, yeah, we're still in the game studio. Because I have not played this offline since we last played this on stream.
What was I doing?
That's a good question there, buddy. Where am I? See if I even remember the controls in this game. Why are you red? Speaking of Voltaire. Gamer till the end. Jesus. No, we weren't done. Because see, over my head, there's still so many things to do. Wild at heart. Eat, work, sleep, repeat. Yeah, and then there was the sacrifice room. Oh, it was cute. Okay, I was like, wasn't there a button? J.J. Abrams. Yeah, then here's the main lobby where we started for some reason. Delete correspondence. I think that's new, actually. Okay, so wipe blood. Okay, so all our things are fine, it looks like. Ah, yes, my black hole. Excellent. Oh, right, this one's locked. Great. Hello? Has to be a way in somewhere. Oh, hey. Tony Miller, coder, thinker, you just brought piss to a shit fight. Erlich Bachman. Why does that feel like something you would say, chat? Is there new Uma news? I do know that they released like a bunch of they released a bunch of black Umas recently. I think in the Japan versions, didn't they? You blame me for the bugs, you fucking parasite. This means war. What? So there's a vent back there that's open, and there's blood, and there's a Mona Lisa that has gamer headphones on. Ah, yes, the Industrial Revolution and its consequences. But genuinely makes me think I need to go back upstairs. Starbucks. Oh, hello. Oh, Hexter 4, part 47 of 1,337. Ah, yes, Leet speak. Duck. Don't talk to the duck, chat. Whatever you do, do not talk to the duck. Do not observe the duck. Okay. Might as well start. Oh, I think this is one of the guys that we, Yeah, I think we threw him down the slide, technically. Schmack. Okay. Come on, trash. Okay. Okay, so we did get through this door. We have to put these back, and I think we're missing quite a few. Color book for kids. That's a giant fucking coloring book. I'm still waiting for them to add Secretariat. When is Secretariat getting into Uma Musume? Donut. It's also... Okay, it definitely goes in here. Oh, is there... Oh, there is a table in front. Okay, that's why. All right, let's go upstairs. Let's go upstairs. Which, can we... I forget. Can we walk up the slide? Okay, no, we can't walk up the slide. So we gotta go this way. But because I'm going this way, we gotta go check downstairs, because I want to say we finished downstairs completely. Yeah, even though the fake streamer was here. The industry plant, if you will. That's a duck with a knife. Doesn't seem like there's anything there. No one here understands me. At least they ignore me. When I started organizing job interviews in our sauna, they called me a perv and tried to sue me. When I decided to work from the sauna and wore nothing but a towel, they wanted to put me in an asylum. No one here knows what it means to truly love hot air, steam, and being naked. It's the best thing since my mother's womb. That's so creepy, dude. That's so creepy. Mr. Sandwich in this office every day at 10 a.m. Tasty ham pan. Full bacon Greg. Oh my god, a Greg. Oh god damn it. Sunstar's naked again. Okay, it doesn't seem like anything important in here. Hello. Okay, I think we're good. I don't think there was anything else back here. Yeah, all tasks complete. Delete correspondence. Weren't we? We were over there at some point. How did we? Oh. I know how we got over there. It's here, all the way across here is the kitchen. Oh, that's such a green light. Hold on. Are any computers on? Hey, it's courage. Horns. Horns. It's a rendition of the old cave painting horse. A Greg sounds good. Is that a real sandwich, or are y'all messing with me? It'll be the gateway to adding more American horses. I genuinely think Secretariat should be the first American horse. Either that, or they better give me Michelle, my baby. I want my big muscle horse. Oh, it's above me. Okay. So we have a vase. I don't know where it goes, though. Stray chair. Can't open that. Definitely can't open that. That's where the other thing is. Ah, that's right. Wait, I can't open you either? Why is he wearing armor? And he has a club. You mean my big boy? No, Michelle, my baby. And not obey my master. Locked, locked. You've got to be missing something. Golden toilet, anyone? Best merch for you. Plates, mugs, towels. Okay, that's just an... Wait, how much do they spend on it? 400... No. No, that is 480,000? Quantities of 1,000 each? That's insane. All right. Also, that PC's on. Maybe we can get information from there in a second. But let me get y'all a game. Let's do... We'll do words today. Loading, loading, loading. Loading, loading, loading. All right. Based off real horse, my big boy, and obey your masters based off... Wait, are they not real horses? Why do they use real horses for all the other ones, but then made the Americans not real horses? That's... So, also, Pay the Butler is a great fucking name. Pay the Butler is a great name. Needless. Oh, it's not needless. Oh, needles. I'm stupid. There was only one S. Damn it. Curse you, Axio. Curse you! They didn't have the license to use the real horses' names? If they saw the popularity of the other Uvamuzume horses, I feel like they would have given permission, right? Right? Probably. Nah, you just need to get better horses? Okay. I mean, there's always TM Opera O. The Emperor never lets you down. The Emperor will never let you down. Is the Gateway horse? I'm still saying Secretariat, the greatest American racing horse of all time. Because it's being used right now as a breeding stud in Japan. Oh. Okay, maybe. I can see it. I could maybe see it. But trying to remember too, isn't Kita-san Black also retired? Kita-san Black now. Wait, is it Kita-san or is it? I've been seeing videos recently of one of the horses that became an Uma Musume, one of the really popular ones, that now instead of like being a breeding stud, he instead just trains the young horses. Yeah. I know Kita-san's an old horse. All right. You put this away. Bring the music down in my ears. I was gonna say, I think it's Kita-san that I'm thinking of. All right, can I interact with this computer? Tony Miller, the coder, Sailor Fortune Marketing Master. Please, for the love of Cthulhu, stop overhyping our game. We're running on fumes here and you keep on lying about every single element of this shit. Buying tons of useless merch while we're starving, hallucinating. The fuck is wrong with you? No company in the world is able to create something even remotely close to the thing you're selling to investors and gamers day after day. 1,000 devs working for 1,000 days wouldn't make it. Just stop.
Marketing teams only want one thing, and no one can stop them.
Game marketing for absolute effing morons. Get an edge on the competition. How to easily market basically everything by using the right keywords like open world, AI powered, live service for the core gamers. We hear you, casual, friendly, and very excited. AAA, quadruple A, even quintuple A. Gee, I wonder who that sounds like. Okay, so maybe we need to go try and find some other PCs. Or... So that door's open. This one's blocked. That one's blocked. There's an... Oh, the elevator! Because we've previously never been able to use the elevator, so... Oh, it just snaps us up here? Okay.
Too much money plus a huge ego equals this.
Let's go ahead. Oh my god. All right, let's get all these doors open.
Something is blocking the way.
Go over there. Okay. Any computer on in here? You. Wild at heart, new path forward draft. As part of an unwavering commitment to growth, we decided to reduce the number of our employees. We're implementing a deep restructuring of our shit organization to smoothen the game production process. Effective today, we made this super easy, barely inconvenient decision to better position us for future challenges and opportunities, but also to get rid of some people who didn't deserve to work here. Fuck them. We understand changes of this nature can be concerning, but we don't really care. We appreciate your continued dedication and flexibility during this fun and exciting, difficult time, and wish you all the worst. Best. Sincerely, Edwin Vitality Jr., CEO. What a fucking dildo.
What was that? An in-depth look inside the mind of an asshole?
And this is from the HR manager. We are what we pretend to be, so we must be careful what we pretend to be. Wait, did that say Kurt Cobain? No, Kurt Vonnegut. I have no idea who that is. How is the cleaning? We've barely done any cleaning. We're doing plenty of stealing. Even though $2 means like nothing. Also, I just noticed the carpet is money. Wow, look at this asshole. All right, let me just hover that back into place.
It's a fan situation, but backwards.
What in the sweet fuck is that? I am Greg. Hi, Greg. Hey, Greg here. Thank God.
Woohoo! I did it!
Wait. Wait. No, that says Kilgore Trout. That's a hell of a name. Okay, we came up there. Oh, hey. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Yeah, get out of the way. Now, where is this gonna take me? Oh, I'm getting blown back. What the? Oh my god. The echoes. Where is this? Is this gonna spit me out downstairs? I think it is. Yeah, I think this is how I get into the other room. Oh, god damn it. Jesus. I may actually run out of a punch and glove. Oh, never mind. Never mind, we made it down here. And we have one of the trophies. Is that the song that's saying radio? Ah, shit. It's okay. We still have the mop bucket that we left down here, so it's fine. It'll work out. All right. Is anybody going to be under this? Okay, no. Nobody's under it. Turn the light on? Nope. No, I cannot. Oh. Okay. Gonna go ahead and take this. Excuse me, pardon me. Places to be, things to do. Boink. Okay. Oh. All right, come on, chair. Yoink. Is that everything in here? Okay, then. Go ahead and clean everything. Then might as well replace the water, which I think was here. Doink. Have you seen Forever Young, Greet the Breeders, Cup Reporters? I have not seen the reporters. I have not seen anything about the reporters. All the detergents. All right, let's go see if we can take this up the elevator. So hold on. What are you playing in here? Take a look at the ceiling fan in our dear CEO's office. It started making those weird noises. Like something died inside and now its poor soul wants to get out but can't. Just take care of it before it cuts someone's head off and delays our game even more. Jill, aka the front desk pioneer. Cringe. Cringe. Okay. All right, yeah, we'll go ahead and take this guy down.
Tell us anything. It's that you can't go inside a vent and expect to be safe.
I mean, yeah. Okay. So this definitely goes in the conference room. Doink. Hi, guys. Okay, let's do this. Clean furniture and carpet first. Chair clean. Trash. Before I oopsie daisy myself into breaking more shit. Okay. Hey, get out of the way! Okay, I don't think these briefcases actually go anywhere. Oh, hey, fat stacks of money. Use. Oh, never mind, that was just the other thing. Okay. Edwin Mentality Jr., CEO. I have all the characters of a human being. Patrick Bateman. Somebody missed the fucking plot.
This one even has a watermark.
Oh my god. It's got a watermark. CEO, 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 CEO.
Well, look at you.
Hi, Spawn. Welcome in. How are you doing? All right, buddy. Let's go put you in a body bag.
Beat at last.
Right next to all the people that you were thinking of firing.
But your bad luck was stronger.
Make more crime? No, we gotta clean it up because then they'll kill our daughter if we don't. Our daughter, who we're doing this all for to pay for her cancer treatment. Also, that elevator's a little buggy. Oh, man! Damn it. Oh, okay, can't open that one yet. Interesting. Okay.
Very useful.
Is that RAM? Is this why we're having a RAM shortage? My God.
Can't pick up anything with a full bag.
Oh, there's another evidence over there. Oh boy, Life Simulator Forever Plus. God who can inhabit every life form and do whatever wants that one thing but something and then profits? Whole universe, 4D ultra realistic graphics, quadruple A quality all the way, gameplay, MMO live service with pay to win and get a loan mechanics. Seriously guys, what's next? Life Simulator Tokyo Drift XD. My God. My God. Ryder, I admit it wasn't easy to write the backstory for the whole universe, but then I found out we're going to have the multiverse as a paid DLC. So what now? Should I write infinite backstories for infinite timelines? What do you expect me to do? Oh, I can read it. Actually, Life Simulator Forever Plus is not going to have a story mode, so we don't need any backstories for anything. To be honest, we don't need your services anymore. I don't know why you're here. HR, why is he here? Edwin? Sorry, boss. Last month you told us to keep him so he can fabricate even more outlandish bullshit for our investors. Sabrina. Oh, right. So maybe you should write all those backstories after all. Keep up the good work. Oh my fucking God. Galaxy is not enough. They haven't released a single game. And as we've cleaned this place, they just keep fucking leveling up the nonsense. Fucking insane, dude. Anything on the back here? It doesn't look like it. Okay. Let's try to pick up some of this furniture. Get all the furniture back in the corner. Oh, that was weird. Okay. Buddy, I'm gonna take you with me.
He is the wild coder, shot dead like a hunted animal.
Insanity, dude. At a certain game company, I think it is. I wouldn't doubt it. It's because elevators are probably like much harder to code than they seem. Plus, this elevator definitely seems to be kind of an instance of some kind, which is why I like clip when I get in and out of it.
That
You come with me.
CEO. He aimed high but accomplished nothing.
Yeah, correct. He literally accomplished nothing. Because they went from being like a basic isometric game, like almost like the original Fallout, to whatever the fuck that thing was on that board. Because he's one, a moron, and two, an egotist. All right, that's all the bodies. Ultimate Quadruple A game. Are you thinking about Skull and Bones? Yeah, the game that nobody plays already. Oh, right, it goes on my back now. Oh shit, there's bullets in here. I did not notice those earlier. Okay. Yeah. It's fine. Just push the chair. It just makes the slapping wet sound on leather. Oh, I broke a fucking glass. Damn it. Oh, I am glitching kind of all over the place. Maybe the elevator bugged me instead. Oh my God.
It won't move like this.
Is it the paper? Is the paper stopping it? Or is it because of the floor?
I need to clear the way first.
Is it this paper? It is that paper. God damn it. Okay. You gotta move. Oh. Do I have... Okay, no, both my mops are dirty. Nice. And we gotta take the book. Is there anything else in here? Oh, right. The cup I broke. Taking this. Oh. Kobe. Kobe. Garbage bag, correspondence. That was evidence? Uh-oh. What evidence? Which, oh. Another thing I can steal. Don't mind if I do. So we got this one, right? Yeah. Again, though, I'm not sure where this vase goes. Or where this chair goes. Here, maybe it goes in the CEO's office. Oh, there's a chair in there. Let's go see. Is it missing a chair back here? Oh, it is. Okay. None of these are on. Can I open you? No, I can't open you. All right, let's go put the trophy in place. We'll put the trash away. And we're still missing one more controller. And a piece of evidence. And furniture. A pillow. Though. Here it is. Here's original life sim. Humble, down-to-earth person unexpectedly becomes farmer, deals with all sorts of stuff, and then wins. Very real, very... Ray? Very rel. Small town full of interesting, quirky residents, 2D, high-quality pixel art. Single-player, cozy farming sim. That's how it started. That's how Life Simulator started. Okay, we gotta find a pillow. Pillow? Greg's... Oh... Oh, Christ.
No longer be just an intern, just a pawn in some CEO's game. Time to pull all this melee theory into practice and prove that I am truly wild at heart.
Oh, he was an intern. Did he kill the last one? Oh, that's what we heard, didn't it?
Thanks to me, your parents will never know about any of that.
Greg December, intern, Melee Combat Design, Game Artour. Why am I so wise? Frederick Nietzsche. Christ. 666999X. Hi. You know, I kind of half expected to find something else in here, but... Okay, so Greg was the one. That's why we reacted to him the way we did. He was the one that was in the goofy ass combat gear. Okay, so yeah, we're missing 2 correspondents. Is there another, like, computer? Hmm. Hmm. Nothing? Okay. Also, which one are you talking about, the Jossie? Which evidence? This one we did too, right? Yeah. Kristen, this? You're fired! That's crazy. Can't interact with that. Life Simulator 3D. Protagonist is the chosen one. He's trying to fulfill his dreams despite the odds. Multiple cities, 3D low poly environments, on par with leading AA games. Again, they've never released any of these games, but you can see how it changes. That is a fucking shredder, my dude. Jesus. That's not a paper shredder. That's a people shredder. Let's go downstairs with the elevator. Because I don't think I checked behind the counter. I knew it. From Jackie the artist to Jill, front desk pioneer. I don't want to start a panic, but something really strange is going on at Wild at Heart lately. Let's start with the coders. They were always kind of a bit weird and socially awkward, but now why are they moving around on all fours and communicating with grunts? Why is there fire in the middle of their room? Okay, no, wait, that makes sense. I mean, what the fuck? There's our dear CEO who hasn't left his office in almost a week. Is he still alive? Give me the truth, Jill. I don't even get me started on Greg. He knows he's just an intern, right? Then why does he act like he owns us all? Is there something you're not telling us? Is he an illegitimate son of a board member or what? The point is, I don't feel safe here anymore. Things are getting too wild.
Some deep unresolved conflicts here.
I see the money. Okay, so now we're just missing 1. Aha. Wildy. Day 1, my first day of work, Wild at Heart. Here I come, ready to do some serious testing. All the bugs will be squashed. Day 31, this is harder than expected. Last night I dreamt that I was transforming into a giant bug. All my coworkers started screaming, not another bug, not on launch day. No, God, please, no! Day 281, this is my last entry. Everything went to shit. One of the programmers went on a killing spree. I got hit. It's bad. I'll try to climb up the vent. I hope there's someone upstairs who can save me.
Moment like God was testing him.
Okay, in this end it says we're missing 2 items. Where's my fucking pillow, dude? Missing a pillow here. There it is. Get out of here, chair. Of course, tucked under something. Okay. We're missing this. But what's the other thing? Oh, there it is. That was a coincidence. Okay. What do some of these say? Best gameplay award. Best questing award? Gameplay, writing, gameplay, writing. Okay, no, it says all writing. Which I think these are trophies that they gave to themselves because they never released a game. Among the evidence? No, it was just stuck in the chair. there's something else we're missing. What is it? Wouldn't be in the bathroom, I'm pretty sure. Where is that? I'm gonna find out it's like one of the chairs or something. Also, this is totally normal coding behavior, by the way. Don't overthink it. Anything to do with like the vents? Doesn't seem like it. There's beer in here? Duck. C6? There's no letters on here. There's no letters. This chair here can't interact with it. What in the sweet fuck is that? Celestial Empire Game Night starts 11 p.m. Water dispenser operator. No compromises. Our success is your top priority. Fuck that. I think it's this vase. I'm gonna take this vase somewhere. It's not you. Bull's in the right place. Vase. Vase. Ugh. Maybe it's closer to this end. No, that's where you belong. No, we can't break the vase. At least we've never had to break a vase before. Okay. So something in here in the office. Anything back here? Executive suite. Fine, fine. Gross. I don't think I can pick you up, but like, can't do anything. Oh, I can punch it. I don't think it's gonna break open. Okay. Oh, money. Nothing here. This one's all done. Maybe it's bugged? I'm kind of hoping it's bugged. But even then... This one I already know we've completely finished. So that's the last thing we're missing, but what the fuck is it? Oh no, it's on this floor. Soup. One more remark from fucking QA, and I swear I'll declare war on these motherfuckers. Okay.
Fed up, just like me.
Money.
But I never declared a war against the world.
Oh, that's gross. Those are cockroaches. Well then. Okay, that counts as open workspace. What are you? Kitty. Why is there a duck in there? There's a toilet brush and a lighter. Oh, okay. Tech Mogul Monthly. Invest your money. New face of social media. Mark Castle. Plus our in-depth look at friends and family. Explosive growth. Ugh. I swear it's his face. I swear it's the vase. Let's go upstairs. Okay, this turns into marketing and sales. Ah. Open workspace. Where do you go? Okay. No, I want the 100%. Oh my god. I don't think I'd be able to get it. I think I'm gonna have to give up. Cause... Ooh. Hello. Huh. Take a lap. The thing is, I'm in the zone. If I go through here, it's a different zone. It has to be between this door and all the way down there. Somewhere. Somewhere. And I am spamming it. If you see the eye in the top right corner, that means I'm using the cleaner vision. And if it's a missing piece of furniture, it's supposed to give like a blue silhouette. I genuinely think it's bugged. It's either that or it's something else that's just like barely out of place. Why is the yellow one spicy? It's not you. Is this table slanted? I can't interact with it, so I don't think that's it. The table with the sauna room? Sauna... Was there blue on the downstairs? Oh yeah, that was the printer. Oh, you meant this, the one that has the smoke. Yeah, it's not really blue, it's just the paper. I thought it was for a second. Fire. Fire. This is the offices. Oh goodness. And then as soon as I go up the stairs though, that's when it changes to marketing and sales. And we've done everything up here. Thing thing is too, is this like the only base in this entire area? So I genuinely have no idea where it could possibly go. I doubt it would go here. Industrial Ventilation Design Guidebook. Oh God, why? I think I have to cave. I think I have to give up. Can't open any view. All right, do we need to do it by hitting like that level down? Oh, great. Caving? Do we need to keep looking? Are we gonna keep looking? I mean, I doubt it would be like up high or something. What are you? Tired of poor graphics? Try brand new AI-powered ATG Watermelon AIX 7000 series. AI off, AI on. This is just fucking RTX joke. This is literally the RTX meme. It's basically just a joke making fun both of RTX, but also of the like AI promising things that it doesn't do. Like I doubt it goes on this table or anything. What are you? Where do you belong? Raggle fraggle. Raggle fraggle. Nope, that wasn't it. Darn, I thought me bumping into that for a second was it. Walkman. Doesn't look very walkable. The vase? I mean, I don't think I can. Yeah, I can't. I can't throw it away. I can only pick it up. Disinformer. Successful Empire. Playing games for too long can literally kill you. No crunch and eternal happiness. Interview with Exploit Soft CEO. Exploit Soft. Exploit Soft. Red Mountain's original adventure game review. Retro Junk 1777. Our first impression. Everything simulator. One sim to rule them all. Fuck, dude. Where is it? Is there a secret room or something? Because usually these maps have like a secret room we can find. Maybe it's actually in here. I may have an idea. Hold on a second. Let's go back through the vents because I think there's another side. So, I'm gonna get blown a little bit here. And then we've got to go down. then... No, I thought there was another direction. Oh, I guess I was wrong. Wait, what are... It's not... That light's not anywhere else. I don't think I can open it, though. Yeah, it doesn't seem like I can do anything about the fans. Damn it. There we go. I was about to say, it's not letting me out. Looking to see if it's the PCs or something. But I don't think it is. Yeah, it's not. It's just making the max number go up because those were already in place. Well, no, it's not going up. The 32 is going up, but the ones that we're missing is staying the same. We're only missing one. But there's a door back there. Holy shit!
What the hell is this? Why do I suddenly feel 100% plant-based?
Last year,
Oh my god, it's the gardener from the beginning of the game.
now I'm still nobody, but also a good gardener who feels loved by his plants. The downside is people die around me all the time, so maybe none of this is real. Maybe I'm just a vegetable, dreaming about being something else.
But why is he here?
Just a piece of fertilizer.
This guy makes me want to turn myself into a pickle.
A pickle, you say? So this is a reoccurring guy that just like keeps showing up in maps, but there's money. But there doesn't seem to be anything that we can put in here. Okay. A pickle funniest shit I've ever seen. God damn it. Okay, where... we still have nothing new. Still have no idea where this base goes. Pretty sure it doesn't go back here. We found the CD too, which is good. Oh, wait, close the door. That's important. Where do you belong? Where do you go? Where do you belong? Back, damn you! Breaks vase? I wish. Vase. 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 Vase! Oh! Okay. Well, that doesn't bode well, though. Now that it broke, that means something else goes somewhere. Disgusting. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna see if I can look this up because now I'm curious if this is like a known problem. What is this one called? Wild at Heart Studios. Oh, it is development hell? Okay. Nah, this one says they had trouble on -1. Those are the bodies. Wait. Okay, no, that's the wheel. Open space, office. Okay. Oh, it looks like the person who made this, their pictures have, oh wait, no, I do remember the paint and stuff being around. Never mind, no, that was actually part of the match. The whole thing. No, I want... Oh no, that is the setting. They have like paint instead of blood. It's all like really colorful. Okay. Secret storage room. Oh. Well, I found a different secret. Okay, hold on. Asked in the same area as you? That's so weird. Back here? Don't dev open inside. Cool. Oh, wrong key. X. Excellent. Hello. Oh. You know, I did not expect this. Bunch of eyes all on it for you. That works. Why not? I mean, it'd probably be better to try and design it off like the way that like the pants kind of look. I'd go for black bottoms, red top, probably. Probably a better idea. Okay. Now what the hell is gonna be down here? Did the CEO do this? Or are we letting a dev out? Is that what this is? We're letting a dev out, aren't we? Shit. Hello? Person of the Year game, Edward Mentality Jr., CEO of what? Sure. Oh, hey, buddy. Wait. Go ahead and take that. Did he go insane down here, or that's a prison toilet? That's ooh.
Found him in a dungeon. So he must be the keeper.
Another CD.
I fucking hate everyone. Unity engine, and I fucking hate myself. I want to kill myself. I want to end this nightmare, and I want to evaporate as quick as I can. I want to smash every fucking little thing in my room to pieces, and I know I'm gonna regret it soon after. So, yeah, basically, this is all I wanted to say. Please don't talk to me, because I want to scream and kill people. Also, I'm joking, because I know in 10 minutes I'm gonna be okay. Thank you, with peace and love.
That's not the voice of the CEO from earlier.
But you can't live without it. He was a melee combat designer, and it shows.
Or was that Greg? Wait, what? That was I don't think that was Greg on there. Was that? I don't know. Yeah, okay. Okay, then. Up the infinite tunnel. Back through the door. Up the ladder. Yeah. Okay, maybe not the ladder. Here? Okay. Coming through. I'm gonna... No, I didn't. I'm on the right floor. I was about to say, did I go up too far? All right, who was the one who said that they found somebody that was having the same problem? Ad? Oh, are we having an ad? I don't think that, it doesn't say the ad started. There's the ad. All right. I'm gonna name out words on stream. I gotta pee. I gotta pee really bad. I've drank a lot of water today because I had to do that blood test. So I will be back in a couple minutes. Don't burn anything down. Actually, I take it back. Beef gets to burn something down this time. Have fun, kids. Actually, I take it back. Goopy gets to burn something down. Sorry, Beef, you don't get the privilege to burn something down. Okie dokie. All right, what did Goopy burn down? Do I need to do any sort of cover up? Are we fine? Is everything, nothing just too ablaze? Beef didn't get too angry? Let's burn together. All right, I suppose I did not specify that it could only be Goopy. I guess that's fair. I don't take orders. God damn it, Ordain. Evidence burned. Don't worry. All right, I'm so proud of you. Cat still. I don't know why I read that and my brain was like tequila. No. Okay, here. Let me check that in a second. Let me see. What in the fuck is that? A box? Like a huge box? Okay, supposedly, according to some of the comments, it probably doesn't count. It probably doesn't count. All right, let's put this away. Bring the music back down a bit. All right. So I guess we're fine. That's like the last thing we had. So let's just elevate her and leave. Goodbye. So long. Okay, we got the perfect score. Because I'm just that good, baby. Took 2 hours. Nice. Nice. Thanks for the money, scrubs. Hell yeah. I better get 13 skill points for that. 9! Oh, man. Oh, I missed a 4th one? Oh, I'm upset. Oh, and another secret? God damn it. Oh, of course I did. All right, now for the all-important... Oh, is it C? That's right, it's C. Upgrades. Yes, excellent, excellent upgrades. Tools. Yeah, I guess we can get this one. Because apparently we didn't get that one. We just got the one right past it.
Well, look at you.
Hello. Yes, hello. Look at me. Jealousy, how are you doing? Chibi bobblehead with no ego and no time? What the fuck does that mean? What do you mean by that? You have anything else we can upgrade? Like, I mean, like here, here. I think I have like all the upgrades I can get, or at least the ones that are like worth having. Because these are only swaps. You can only like swap between these two. I think. Let's try. Okay, yeah, it only swaps. Okay. I'm just double checking to see if there's any that we didn't get. Oh, we didn't get this one. Hell yeah. Ego? Oh no. Unlock all skills in the tools trees. Unlock all skills in the pressure washer trees. Nice. Do we... Are there any more missions? I think there's more, like one more mission, maybe. Right, please be another mission. Secret lab, game development hell. I think we did this one. I'm pretty sure we did this one, didn't we? Let's go up here real quick. Here, back to the truck. Interact. Act 1, community. Okay, so Act 1 was the ones that we all did before. Why is that in yellow? And these are the...
What's your pleasure? What's your fear?
That has the Erlenmeyer flask. That makes me think that it's... Alright, thank you for New Year's Season Pass. Holy shit. All the Teslas in the parking lot, none shall be spared. Go get him, champ. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Exclamation Secret Labs. Don't buy a Secret Labs chair. They're a scam. You don't need a gamer chair. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the Secret Lab one. So I think we've done these. But why are you yellow? What do these mean? Oh, yellow is perfect. Okay. And then blue is challenges? Here, let's see. Let's go here. Click. Oh, it only has the true cleaner one. I was looking to see if it had like a nightmare mode. Oh, you get the baseball bats. Interesting. Okay, hold on. Okay, so we've done nightmare mode there. Oh, okay, that's why it's marked as perfect, because we did true cleaner there. I'm just trying to see if we did nightmare on every place. I think we did. I think that's why they're blue. Okay. Too gay for the chair? What do you mean chair? Which chair? What chair? Why chair? Too gay for the chair? Wait a minute. Yeah, kind of, sorta. I break so many chairs. Why are you breaking chairs? Worthy to be sat upon by you? I've been using the exact same chair since college. The chair I'm using now is a mesh office chair that I've had since 2017. Pretty sure it's been 2017. And I've literally had no reason to get rid of it. All right. I don't know if I really want to do like a true cleaner mission. Do I? I don't know. All my chairs just break. I feel like you're like bending your chair in certain ways. Do we just want to do some yapping, chat? Do we want to just yap the rest of the stream? I was hoping there was one more map that we could have gone and done, but sadly, Development Hell, I guess, is the last one. I wonder if or when they're going to release Act 2.
Dexter,
Buddy.
what are you doing up, boy?
More cleaning? Hey, that's that pirate ship painting. Pineapple? Golden Era of Sudoku. Extreme difficulty. A spear? Is it an arrow just without the feathers? Boot up Pressure Washer Sim? I do have Pressure Washer Sim too. I think it's downloaded. Do I still have it downloaded? I do. I do still have it downloaded. We could go do Pressure Washer too. All right, let's do that. What is a borers? Borers? Bowers? All right, let me change the category first. Power Wash Simulator 2. Okie dokie. Boneworks? Is it Boneworks? I don't know what Boneworks is either. I have no idea. Boop. All right. Ow, that was loud. Okay, let me take that. Let me turn that down. Okay. Okay. Not that. It's escape, isn't it? There we go. Oh, that's Caldera Chronicles. That's new, but I haven't finished the story, so we're doing the main story. Oh, right. Oh, right. I was cleaning the solar system. Okay. Close my eyes. Area behind my right eye is hurting really bad. Ooh. Ocular headache. Listen, it's fine. It's awful. Never mind. I take it back. Okay, what the hell was I doing last time? I think I was doing the walls. Kind of, sort of. We'll do it that way. Let's swap this out. I'm gonna lower the game volume more and turn the music up a little bit more. Then I guess what I'll just do is we'll clear this whole section. We'll get that big purple section and then we'll come back around and do the walls. Boers are a traditional South African sausage, 90% meat or fat from beef, pork, 90% meat or fat. Made of spice and other ingredients. Would you eat it? Abso-fucking-lutely. I mean, sausages may not be my favorite, but like, it's... Why can't I move? Oh, duh. Can you join us in Bullying Grins? Absolutely. What do you need? What do you need? I am at your service. At least I don't have to do the skating rink again in this game. There was a skating rink. I'm pretty sure it was just before this one. And it was awful. Terrible. Absolutely no good. He needs strangling? Are y'all in a Discord? Are y'all in a Discord right now? Hold on, we're gonna go bully Grins. If they're in a Discord, I already have a plan. Ah, shit. I don't have a way to get over there. Damn, I was gonna fucking hit him with it. Nah, you don't need to grab him. No. Don't worry about that, because that ruins the fun. It's more fun if it's a surprise. Tell him I'll talk to him later. And give him like a devil emote. Actually, tell him someone's gonna talk to him later and then use my smug emote. You know what? I'm having flashbacks because I think the last time I played this game, I was sitting here listening to a kind of sort of a documentary video by that one bald guy who does all of those like history and places videos and stuff. But the one I remember watching at the time was the one on the Indian slave kilns, because India still has slavery, even though it's technically illegal in India, because the government and local officials typically just overlook it. And it usually comes in the form of, overjumped. Washing blood to washing? Yeah, we ran out of maps to do. We ran out of maps to do on it. And chat like pitched doing power wash instead. And I'm totally down for this. It's also funny the number of times I've seen people in like comments to the devs of this game for them to make like a rated T1 that's like crime scene cleaner. Because this game is so much smoother than crime scene cleaner. It's good in its own way. Before the crime scene cleaner devs hear me. Crime scene cleaner is unique in its own way. But it's not exactly just straight up power washing like this one is. Doom map next? I mean, it could be a Doom map. I was gonna say just in general. If they made like a separate game using all the same tech and stuff, but just made it like higher rated and basically like crime scene power washing, I bet you it would sell well. I bet you it would sell well. You would probably need a lot more maps because it wouldn't make sense to be as dirty as like this game is, where basically every inch of a place is covered in some shit. I would agree with that. Hell yeah. Thing is, though, is I know they're doing like they usually do partnerships in this game. Did I really get that whole ring? Damn. All right. Start working on this. Start doing the rest of the walls. I always do this in sections because it's far more relaxing that way. And it weirdly makes like the job feel quicker. I don't know why. I even did that. I used to do that whenever I was working in some places where like cleaning was a big part of it. And they'd be like, all right, go sweep the entire like bowling alley or something like that. And I would just like mentally segment it. And it would become a lot easier. Even if we had like 40 something fucking bowling alleys. Bowling lanes. Lanes was the word I was looking for. You will be cleaned. I usually break this game out sometimes when I'm like, I don't have anything to do. Usually it's when I'm like really sad after like a really bad day. I'll break this out. I'll do like a couple maps of it. And then like I'll watch like documentaries or something or video essays. It's time for my yearly rewatch of the 4-hour HH Bomber video essay. Oh, good lord. All right, hold on. Let me go message Grinch real quick. Oh, there's Discord. I was like, where is my Discord? Okay. Also, I do kind of question what the gloppy green stuff is on the wall. Oh, it's Pirates Bay. Okay, this is one of the songs I'm pretty sure that was in Adventure Quest Worlds. I'm pretty sure this is one of the songs. Hold on, I want to look at this stuff. Like, why is it what is it from? It's almost Friday, why be down? Even then, sometimes weekends aren't a getaway like you wish they were. Alien come? Do you just say things? Do you just say things and not think about what you're saying? Why are you like this?
Making a mother of all omelets here, Jack. Can't fret over every egg.
That's illegal. You're not allowed to do that anymore. Ban this person, mods. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. I know some people like it when people like do this instead. But I don't like doing it this way that much. Because it feels a little weird to me. You will not be missed? What do you mean you will not be missed? I'll miss Ordain. Ordain's my goofy goober. You thinking before talking? What do you mean? Oh yeah, it's better to use this one than it was to use the long hose that I was using. Because it kind of covers more area, just a little bit. If I did the commands? Okay, it would have been funny. I mean, listen, you know whenever I'm being serious versus when I'm not. If I'm like, mods, take this man's balls, I expect you to do it, but also laugh about it. Anyway, go ahead and take Gordain's balls. Oh, and his testicles. This man gets no balls. No balls whatsoever. So I can lurk in two friends. I need to screw with both of you. How could you? Can you really tell if Meredith's joking? What do you mean? You know when I'm joking and when I'm not. Obviously, my left eye twitches ever so slightly when I'm joking. Can you not tell? Oh, sorry. Hold on. This is even better. Obviously, my right eye twitches. Too cute. How dare you? Your eye twitches all the time? I have no idea what you're talking about. I second this, queen. What do you mean cute? How am I cute? Okay, Cheebs is cute. I will give you that one. But Cheebs isn't here. Do you want a list? Yes. So I can change it. Go ahead and get that list going. Let me get my keyboard. Wait, you don't have a keyboard? Or you're on mobile? I mean, you have a keyboard on mobile. It's touchscreen. Marriage the cutest VTuber the side of the chaos? Listen, if that were the case, then I wouldn't be struggling so much. I don't believe your compliments anymore. Oh, I've been meaning to ask that. I don't know why that just reminded me. Do I need to change the stream alerts back? Has the at everyoneing for the start of the stream become too obnoxious? Because at first, like when I changed it back to at everyone, a lot of people were swinging by from the Discord and stuff, and since then it's kind of dwindled away. So I was wondering if I need to change it back to, if I should just go ahead and change it back to, what is it? Is it Marin Go Live? I think is the tag. At all the baby ghouls, just start adding the baby ghouls. I do need to use the baby ghoul tag a lot more in the Discord. I use it like once every like 3 months. No, not my Snickers Dick Thane. Stop making fun of my Snickers Dick Thane. That's mean. Okay. People make no sense with the pings or anything. The thing is, I'm concerned that using the at everyone for the stream became annoying to some people that like previously didn't have the gone live ping. And I think they may have like either muted the channel or just like buried it deep in a folder. Is kind of what I'm thinking. Because like I would kind of do that if there was a server that was like constantly at everyoneing, and it basically means now that I had changed the at everyone for live posts. It was now pinging people at least 4 times a week, 4 days in a row. You're welcome. I'd pay $20 to see that quote in VR. What do you mean in VR? What is playing? Oh, it's a monologue. Oh, I think we've gone through most of his songs. We're going back to the playlist. Anyway, Freebird time. A target ball uprise. Do not talk about the target ball. Do not talk about the target ball, ass. Okay, it was a one-time thing. It was a bit. It was funny. We don't need to relive that moment, and neither does my ass. mean incoming? What are you talking about, incoming? Also, hold on a second. Okay. You can't read. Why can't you read? Are your eyes broken? Do you need more eyes? Do you need new eyes? I can get you some extra eyes, buddy. It's okay. Concentrate and ask again. Listen, it's fine. It'll work out. It'll be fine. New job available. Oh, but we haven't finished this one. Historic streetcars. Oh boy. But we're still so far away from finishing this one. We're only at 60%. Okay. Have we finally gone all the way around? I think we have, because we're back at the door. Okay, thank God. And then I think next we're going to have to go for the ceiling. Because I'm going to save the floor and these statues for last, I think is the plan. That's not bad. Let's see. Let's do this. Oh, stuck. So I'm trying to get all the stuff off this like purple line. Although, oh no, that's all part of the same thing. All right, let's do this. Pregnant beef times 666. Why are you impregnating the beef? How are you impregnating the beef? Good night, Atlas. Sleep well. What the fuck is a kilometer? That's why you use protection? Oh no. Also, I only did that cross section because I saw the seam in the ceiling. Okay. I got some glass eyes for beef. Glass eyes. Did you take beef's regular eyes? Hi, Sin. Welcome back. Trying to clean up everything we can. Although I'm guessing the floor stuff that we need to clean, because this is barely going up. That's fine. It's whatever. All right. On to doing the rest of the ceiling. Oh, hey. Okay, that one didn't have a seam, so there are quarters. It's not just halves. It's weird when this game does that. That's why I got married, so I wouldn't have to? Oh, no. Beef, did Mrs. Beef already take your eyes? Mo? Yeah, Beef is extra pregnant. Congratulations, Beef. You're going to have 666 little beeflings. Are you excited? Hi, I'm Beef. Bread and friend? Oh. The beefling army shall rise? Oh no. Does that count as an army, or is that more like a battalion? How large is a battalion usually? Almost an army? I thought armies were usually like in the thousands. A unit. I'll take and raise the beeflings. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh wait, is this... Oh no, is it in like fifths? It's not, doesn't seem like it's actually quarters like I thought it was. Okay, thank God. Yeah, for free? Oh no. Are beeflings like trimmings from that one analog horror? Oh, we could have done analog horror today. There's a lot of good analog horrors out right now. And I know some that have been going for quite a while that we haven't caught up on in a decent bit. Okay. Wait. That's fine. Analog horror, but she can't handle the Resident Evil horrors? They're spooky! And analog horror is much more simplified, and I'm not the one in control. Okay. Okay, it's when I'm the one that's in control and things are absolutely fucking horrifying. Listen, you can't compare it to the first quadruple A horror game. You cannot compare analog horror to the first quadruple A fucking horror game. Likes not being in control? That is not what I fucking said. It just makes it all the scarier because you got to keep your faculties and be able to run or react in whatever way you need to. Also, don't forget I haven't thought about your Invisigal run through of Dispatch that you want so badly. Don't think I haven't been thinking about that. Look who's talking about it now. Hey, Sunstar. You know, if we'd stuck to the original time countdown and we didn't have Resident Evil, we would have done Dispatch this week. You would have gotten your Dispatch this week. Except Resident Evil came out. The Federal Bureau of Control? Damn, that'd be kind of cool. The FBC? I am very curious about how Control 2 is going to play out. Apparently there were people speculating that they think it was going to be a Souls-like, to the point that the company had to come out and say, it's not a Souls-like, you jackasses. You think you can trick me with your lies? Sure. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do it this way. I already did get up there and clean the sun. That was like the first thing I think I did on this map. I was like, we're gonna clean the sun first so that we can get some fucking light in here. Because the map starts out dark. Chat, why is Sensor pointing a gun at me? Chat, can you tell me why Sensor's pointing a gun at me? Since you got a new model? Really, Talios? Goddamn, that's a long time ago. Because we're coming up on 1 year? I think it's like April or March, I think, is like 1 year of using this model. Well, welcome back, Talios. It's good to see you. Congratulations, you're now being manually recruited back into the Dark Carnival. You don't get to leave ever again. Never, ever. I can't believe you're interested in that. What do you mean? What do you mean, Sunstar? Your name's Sunstar. It's fine, one day fair. Wait, what did I say? What did I say? I'm confused. The audacity? Wait. I'm confused. What happened? What happened? Or James Gannon beef is big. Wait, did I mix up beef and big at one point? Look at what you did. What? Think of it self-care. I'm only looking at chat in quick glances. Oh, that is Queens. Oh, I'm sorry. I saw the box around your name and I was like, oh, that's probably Sunstar. You know what? Maybe I should just give up. I can't even get the regulars' names right. Maybe I'll just become an e-girl that only plays her, like, comfort games on stream. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's what we'll become. 4 years? 4 years for what? I'm sorry, okay? I can only read so fast and look so quickly at fucking chats. You girl Baron low? Oh no. Is that what it is? Is that what I become? We just start playing cozy, comfy games? Also, wait, there's a fucking ridge here. God damn it. Because that's the thing that'll like get me in the end, is if I don't do this, clean out this whole ridge, is they'll be like, why isn't the floor clean? Why isn't the floor clean? I can't figure it out. I think it's just like tiny sidewalk ridge. Okay.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Okay, DMs. I was checking Twitch. I got you. All right, the list. Oh, good lord. All right. So to answer your question on why I think you're cute, it's a very broad term for a gestalt, not really any specific thing. I admire your tenacity and determination. I think you've got a good head on your shoulders. You're bright. You turn into a goober from time to time. I think it's silly. It's cute to see you get excited over your strong opinions and hyperfixations. You're a big scary monster lady on the internet, but you get scared really easily. I judge you by your story of how you weren't there to adopt Coco, but Coco adopted you. Oh, very good side of character. I'm proud of you for doing what you can despite your anxiety. The voices, that's not easy from what I understand. All right, the rest of that is personal. Add this to the list. You have many eyes, but only one central processor, and you make cute mistakes. Fraggle. Okay. Okay. It did really be the Bear Appreciation era of the Dark Carnival. Christ. All right, then let's see those. Let's see that CCV go up, baby. Let's see that CCV go up. And then someday it'll happen. I need the outside validation. I must have the external validation and the fucking avoidance of the Twitch algorithm, because the Twitch algorithm fucking sucks, dude. Okay. That's absolutely dork. Somebody go rent like a billboard or some shit. It'd be funny. It would be hilarious. Although those fuckers are expensive. I used to think they would actually be cheaper than they are based off like how often I would see. I'll just stick that up there for now. Because apparently that's the only space you can put a fucking ladder, I guess. And my wife watches. Oh, Mrs. Beef. Oh, there's a button. Oh no. Is all this stuff gonna like spin around? We're gonna find out that there's like a bunch of dirt underneath the globes and stuff. Maybe. Okay. Also, I'm not gonna lie, looking at this hot pink legitimately hurts my eyes. And I think I have that issue a lot of times when I play this game, because I think the longer I play it, the brighter it feels like it gets. And that could just be from like everything getting cleaned off. But I'm not even joking that sometimes it even gets to the point where it feels like the light or something is just blinding me intentionally. Why do you say it like that? Why do you say hot pink like that? Okay. Apparently we didn't finish this floor. Okay. Like even the glow from like the sun that's behind me kind of hurts my eyes. Kind of hurts my eyes. E-punk, regular girl. Oh god. Okay. Let's do that. Fuck you, ladder, for being in the way. Can I move you? Yes. Will I move you? No. And of course, it has to be glass with more bright lights. Maybe I have the gamma too high or something. Let me see if I can turn the gamma down. Is that in the options? I want to say I remember looking for gamma and not finding anything. Video? Nope. Nope. Oh well. Puts on the pink polka dot dress. What the fuck do you mean? Why does it have to be pink? Why does it have to be pink? Can it be a different color? I'll put on a red one. Hold on, I'm busy cleaning my glass dome for the sun to spin on. Wait, did I miss like so many little like nooks and crannies? Guess I did. Oh god, it's kind of hard to see. Pink is the new black? No, the fuck it ain't. No, the fuck it ain't. Ah. Okay. my brakes starting? Oh shit. Okay, hold on. Hold your horses. Hold your horses. I want to finish this fucking dome. There we go. There we go. All right. In denial about how good you look in pink, I'm gonna go hug my cat. Twaffles. All right, let me give you the game, and let me scroll up in chat because I know I've been missing a bunch. Arch of Bear, is it pink? I don't think it was pink. I say going to check my my fan art folder. Yeah, that's not pink, that's red. That is absolutely red. My bad, it looked salmon. Nah, it's definitely red. Rice. I do not know why I made that a poor example of fucking a rise from Solo Leveling. That's what it's called. We just gotta believe. Oh no. Why the fuck is it polka? I could not tell you. I know polka is like the type of music. I do not know why it's polka dots. Spelled the same way. Maybe it originated from the same area? I don't know. It's not polka dot unless it comes from the polka region of Czechoslovakia. If it doesn't, then it's just a spicy pattern. But not the match? Oh, it happens. They usually like it whenever we swap games. Whenever we do one for a while, they get bored of it, so they kind of... Oh, eyes, Prince and the Queen dies. Oh, change sound place. What else do I have to say? We're inside the fire. All right. Back to my game. Back to finishing cleaning the fucking planetarium, dude. We've done all the central stuff, so... All right, satellite time. It is definitely a choice to make the satellites your big thing inside what seems to be an attempt at a solar system. Okay. And of course, it has all the nooks and crannies under the sun. All the pieces. I can see why there's still like 20-something% left. Okay, no, I did this and finish. There we go. All right, gotta come down to do this. Lean the butt end. Okay, was that all of it? Was that centerpiece just Okay, it was. Is this the moon? Oh no, this is Mercury. Tee up the golf ball. Okay, well that says it's a stand. Oh, top. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna do all the small things. And then I'll do the floor. Methinks. Pretty marble. Same way that emote word search hasn't shown up in ages. The emote word search is like, it's a little too hard. So, I don't know, the word search. I was thinking of the scan one for a second. Never mind. Yeah, we can do that one come Monday. Yeah, we can do the word search later. Yeah, it's because like if you even have a slight delay to stream, basically if my delay isn't like partner level because they technically get like better connections, and I don't have like the most stable internet here. Excuse me. Yeah. Excuse me. Okay. Now we gotta get on top. Hup. Hup. Okay. We'll just keep going this way. Methinks. Priority bandwidth? No, I'm on Wi-Fi because the modem in my house is on the other side of the house in a closet. And I am literally at like the max distance to get signal. We have 1 gig up, 1 gig down. I don't get that speed over here. I get like 20 megs. Maybe 20. Yes, they do. They also get higher qualities. Although I am technically part of Twitch's beta staff in terms of like, very frequently I get beta access to the new features that Twitch is like testing. And technically, I could have like up to 2K, I think it is. I could stream in 2K. The thing is though, is stream would tank if I did that. Stream would like absolutely eat fucking pants if I tried to do that. So I have like their enhanced broadcasting rights and stuff. It's not the same as the like bandwidth, but it's just higher quality stuff. Oh my goodness. All right. I'm cleaning Uranus, chat. I'm cleaning Uranus. It's fine. It's fine. It'll be spotless by the time I'm done with it. Don't worry about it. Not even a concern. Just download some extra BAM. Just download RAM, stupid. Okay, there we go. Okay. Certainly one way to do fire, I think. Life to Benson. All right. Yeah, spotless. Uranus is spotless, chat. And don't you fucking forget it. Why are you not clean? Thank you. This is Jupiter, I'm guessing. This is what I had to use to get up all the way to the top up there. All right. Oh no, that's just dark for some reason. All right. I thought I cleaned this on my way up, but I guess I didn't. I guess I didn't. I guess I just ran up there. Okay. With mind powers, where did you get mind powers? The enema in space? Oh no. Space enema. That feels like it would be a gag in like Space Dandy or something. You have to take the space enema, Dandy. As he immediately just grabs his butt. No, this is Jupiter. To say this is the gaseous surface of Jupiter. We'll see we'll probably find the red eye in a minute. Working for the FBI. No, Saturn has a ring. This isn't a ring. This is the rockets. This is the representation of this rocket. Yeah, it's not a ring around Jupiter. Long cool woman in a black dress. Good remix. Good remix. Okay. Compromise scatter? No! Oh no, I said too much. I knew this was a den of scum and villainy when I made it. So proud of you. Kryptonite. Somewhere in the sands of time. All right. Now I gotta clean the plaque. Get clean, get clean, get clean. See, I was right. It was Jupiter. Go to Jupiter to get more stupider. Obviously. Obviously. Everybody knows that. Get clean, golf ball. Get clean. God damn you, glacial poles. God damn you. All right. Superman. All right. Has been a plant this whole time? Listen, do you think if I was an FBI plant, I would have run out of money constantly? That I'd be living paycheck to paycheck? If I was a psyop and they wanted me to be a successful psyop, I would have the budget. Also, did y'all hear about what they spent the budget on in the last couple months? Did y'all hear what the Department of Defense was spending? They spent millions. I'm talking double-digit millions on fucking ribeye steaks, lobster, a grand piano, and like, apparently they did this in the course of like 2 months. They spent like, I think it was like 12 million, 15 million on fucking lobsters. Yeah, they spent part of the budget on getting a grand piano for, I forget which position it was. I don't think, it may have been feed egg sets. I don't remember for sure if it was, but they said a title and they spent a fat wad on that piano. Oh, it's spinning. I didn't even realize this one was, oh, I can make it spin. Haha. Be there holding my hands. Anybody know the music video for this song? It's all just money laundering. It fucking has to be, or it has to be weaponized incompetence. It is 100%, to my mind though, it is a let them eat bread moment. They are spending the tax dollars that they were given to quote unquote defend the country on all of the upper echelon of the Department of Defense just eating fucking lobster and sirloin steak for like 3 months. It was at least 2 months. That's fucking riotous. Okay. Now we gotta do Saturn. Here's Saturn, kids. And then we'll just have to do the floor. Okay, we're down to so few items. It's already like marking them for me. Oh no, chat, it's the song. It's the guitarist's worst nightmare. Hey, can you play Thunderstruck? I do suppose it's better than Wonderwall. Actually, I think it's significantly better than Wonderwall. Fun fact, chats. Did you know the Earth at one time had rings? Millions upon billions of years ago, Earth had rings. And there was a time where life on Earth could see those rings. There were no humans, obviously. And most animals were extremely simple, biologically speaking. But there were animals alive to witness the rings on Earth. Yeah, we just have space junk. We just have space junk now. But no, at one point millions of years ago, the Earth did have rings that either eventually collided onto Earth or just drifted off into space. and effectively dissipated over time, which is also likely what will happen to Saturn eventually. Which is kind of how you get rings, is the gravitational forces basically put them towards the equator of the celestial body, which is why they're often pictured in whatever rotation fashion the planet moves. Okay, let's get up there. She struck my thunder. She struck my thunder until I AC on my DC. Oh God, that was a Grin's ass joke, and I immediately regret it. Endbringer arc. My dad happened. I don't even get to go home and kind of relax. He gave me what he said would be the next. What the fuck does he mean? How far up his own ass is he? Hey, you want me to just kill that guy for you? You work at a hospital. If I worked at a hospital and somebody told me my work wasn't real work, that's a Denny's parking lot fight right there. And I ain't stopping until one of us is unconscious. Okay, I think we're just down to the floor. I'm doing the outer part first, just to get as much as I can. And then we'll work our way in as we come around. I'm missing quite a lot, but that's fine. Usually I do the floor first, and I don't know what compelled me in this one to do the floor last. Okay. What are you doing, chat? Up his own ass? He was marketing company president for U-Haul at one point, so he's pretty far up there. True. I've never met a person that was competent owning or running U-Haul. They're always just kind of there half-assing it and making it as painful as possible. I hate to say this, but the corporate branch of U-Haul, I think, does more work than the fucking people that, like, operate the U-Haul branches. Because I've been to some pretty crummy U-Haul places. I'm talking like driving into a junkyard because that's where I accidentally scheduled a U-Haul or had to return a U-Haul to. $500 miles just to almost be turned away because he only knew the dude by a nickname for 50 years? What? 7 people break down and cry while trying to get a visitor's pass because the person they were looking for was announced dead via medical alert PA system as I was getting... Oh, no. Oh, no. To be fair, that's something to break down over. That's awful. I was going to say, that's kind of one of those things that's like, Yeah, cry it out. It's kind of important. Especially if you're like rushing there to be like, I need to be there, I need to be there, I need to be there, and then you hear just like the PA. Yeah. Doesn't bode well. Oh, the asteroid belt is painted onto the floor. Huh. Interesting. Come on, get cleaned faster. It's fine. This will be we're doing the outer part first because as we work inward, it's going to feel shorter. Because we don't have to go as far. Although it is kind of hard to see parts that I missed for me on this like blue and purple fucking floor. Didn't mean that to be my stream streak. Oh no. And no, the worst denied him for the promotion 8 years because nobody else was competent enough to manage a big city store in my state. Christ. Well, your dad's obviously not competent enough to do it, I'm guessing. Although if he can feed you, he kind of has to be. Never mind, I take it back. Maybe he does know something. But U-Haul is not exactly a gold standard for business etiquette and business practice. Especially considering they constantly rent to known white supremacist groups. Willingly. The 4-year-old almost tried to rip my hair out. Wait, what? The 4-year-old? I mean, you could just keep him away from you. That's not hard. Or were you like carrying the kid? Were you like helping the family by carrying the kid? Ten years later, cleaning? I'm always cleaning, baby. Always cleaning. Okay, we're almost to the section that we finished. I think each of these rings counts as a different section. I don't know, we're about to find out, I think. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Shit. Okay, we didn't get these 2 rings. Okay. That's what I get for just kind of whipping it. It's my own fault. I did it to myself. Oh, Jesus, that scared me. Why did that startle me so much? Okay, so now we just need this inner one. Okay. I think what I should do is maybe 1 ring at a time. So then I can kind of do this. I think I'd be a little more likely to finish it once I get all the way around. Never mind, that's not going so hot. Whew. Wait, I missed it. Pain to maintain? I missed. Was Carrie talking about the length of her hair? You do still need to get a trim about every 3 months, even if you're growing your hair out or if it's really long. Because then you ends up with gnarly split ends and dead ends. Wait. Wrong key. Oh, shit. Oh, I missed a bunch of these lights. Because we didn't get the backside of them. And Uranus. No, wait, it's marking something else. Oh, it's the ring. Excuse me, pardon me. Hello. Part of the ring am I missing? Oh. Is it here? Where are you? There we go. Okay. It was all the way over here. Okay. Well, this isn't a bad position. I'm not thinking what I'm writing. Oh. Hit from the back? Hitting from the back. Freezing. Freezing's out the window, baby. All right. Damn, we still really haven't finished this asteroid belt. Benny. Good lord. This one is longer than it feels like. Okay. Chat, me and the wife booked a cruise to Bahamas for October. Oh, boing! Is it just the Bahamas? Usually they go to more places. Why didn't you finish? Why did you finish? Your mom! The number of edits and memes I've seen of that one line in this song is so good because it's like my favorite meme. It's just the opening guitar riff followed just by your mom. Why did you not get finished? This is bullying. All these itty bitty pieces. Come on. Thank you. Okay. Flashman chat, we finished in this tent? Yes, yes, we do. And you better keep it either in your pants or fucking wholesome. That's the only options. If I start finding gunk under the fucking chairs or on the tent fabric, every single one of you is getting skinned. Thank you for self-care desecration, demon. I'm almost out of water. All right, well, we're up to 97%. I think we'll get it after we finish these rings. I think I've got everything else. I think. I'd like to think so. Hopefully. Hopefully. Question mark? Question mark? All right. Okay, well, that's the closest ring in done. Oh yeah, apparently all we have left is the floor. So that's good. Breaking news, Wet Pants the Dark Carnival see a massive... I swear to God. I swear to God. That is illegal. Okay. Your spunk stories are... Please tell me Carrie did not... If I find come anywhere, Marin won't be able to make... Wait. Won't be able to make to you before you cease to have ever existed? Oh my God. Yeah, I was going to say, Carrie's spunk stories, mainly from her brother, or entirely from her brother, are fucking nightmare fuel, dude. It's kind of disturbing. Kind of disturbing. All right. Almost there. Little bit more. Come on, game. Don't screw me on this. Let me get the satisfying, like, all three in quick succession. Fuck it. Put on the longer spigot. So I don't have to keep stepping forward and stepping back. All right, moment of truth. Oh no, it's saying there's something behind me. Fuck. Oh, it's done. Never mind. Hell yeah. The satisfying. Hell yeah. Oh, it's always satisfying to play this game. Nice. All right, let's go back to home base. You won something behind you? What? All right, what did I unlock? Oh, it's just the streetcar. Damn it. Damn it. All right, that's fine. It's only 3:30, but we did start like 15 minutes early. So I have some bad news, chat. That's it. That's all we're gonna do this week. I feel bad for canceling 2 of our spooky days. But my heart fucking hurts, dude. My heart fucking hurts. And the Grace part's like, I genuinely think we're at like the worst part of like Grace's part of the game. Like I don't think it gets scarier from here. Because I think to my knowledge, all of the rest of the Grace zones are pretty well lit. I think they're pretty well lit. I enjoyed GeoGuessr and Cleaner Day. But weak heart constitution. It was a mix of like, genuinely, I probably would have been fine if I didn't have like the doctor's appointments this week. Because one, that was out of place. I blew like all the extra money I had, including having to pull some from savings. I just got paid today. I need to go pay my bills after stream. And then I already paid for an extra blood test today out of my payday. So shit's gonna be fucked. And I also just realized I never started the Twitter stream because I'm an idiot. I'm getting really bad at remembering to start the Twitter stream. I keep getting fucking distracted. Don't you teach the sheep how to crack? How to crack? Marin's mating chat in the wheel again. Marin go sheep's getting freaky down there. That's cracking in ways sheep should not crack. What do you mean crack? What do you mean crack? What does that mean? What does that mean? Says fucking. I believe. Please do not start saying that shit. Please do not start saying that shit. That's like saying the same stuff as the like. Whenever you swap the D and damn with the Z, it sounds ridiculous. All right, chat. Do y'all want something spooky or do you want something a little more relaxing? Carrie, shoot Sunstar. Cause spooking. All right, we'll do spooking. We're gonna raid Rang. Viscerang. She's currently playing Fatal Frame 2. So if you want to check out some spooky shit or one bad bloody bitch, not bitch derogatory, check out Rang. I'll be seeing y'all over there. That's going to be it for this week, you guys. Next week, we will get back to Resident Evil 6. I'll try to squeeze in a Crystal Day. Again, it depends on what happens over the weekend and stuff. We'll have our spooky shit back, I promise. Ghostwire, Crystal, Resident Evil. If I can squeeze in 2 days of Resident Evil, I will. If my heart can't take it, then we'll probably do something else in that day. I don't know what it'll be just yet. And we do have Mage tomorrow over on Hectics. Which I think Hectic was here. Yeah, Hectic was here earlier. We have Mage at 11 CDT tomorrow. It's going to be fun. We missed last week because we had a sick player, but we should be back today. TM, hopefully, should be back tomorrow. I'm on your side. What the fuck? Oh. Are you not on my side? Is that what this is? All right, regardless, guys. Go give them some love. Have fun. Thank you for being here. I will see you later. We may be doing not a stream, but a watch along in the Discord tomorrow night. So if you're in the Discord, please join the Discord. We're probably going to be doing a drinking game reacting to, was it Ghost Hunters? Essentially, I'll make a list while we're live over there. Other than that, bye. Have fun, kids.